As a women organization, we thought a lot about the process of UPR, and we reviewed previous UPR processes and previous recommendations. And sadly, we couldn't really find specific recommendations that are related to women in general or to women under occupation. This report was developed at different stages. First of all, it was through the partnership, the strategic partnership with WILPF, that we came together and agreed that it is time for us as a women organization to contribute to the whole UPR process. The report tackles different issues. For example, it tackles forcible transfer and forced eviction. It tackles settlements and settlers' violence, human rights defenders. This report is different from other UPR reports because it focuses especially on the disproportionate impact of Israeli occupation on women. It is based on first-hand data. It is based on testimonies collected from women themselves who suffer from the Israeli occupation either directly or indirectly. A review of the residencies that were revoked by Israel, we found that more than 14,000 residencies were revoked since 1967. The residency revocation is a measure that is taken by Israel through a temporary order that revolves around defining the center of life for Palestinians. And this policy only applies for Palestinians, which means that a Palestinian who resides outside Jerusalem, for example in the West Bank or Gaza, he or she will be considered residing abroad, therefore will be under a subject of residency revocation. In cases of a woman with a Jerusalem ID married from a man holding a West Bank ID, and she moves to live with her spouse in the West Bank, she will be subject to residency revocation and she will be subject to losing her social rights. Another issue that the report highlights is the issue of nitrates. And nitrates is an Israeli measure that is used as a tactic and as a means of intimidation and to force people to leave their villages. The nitrates happen in villages and areas that within a proximity of 2 kilometers from the settlements. And we all know that Israeli settlements are built on in the West Bank on Palestinian land. And in order for Israelis to maintain, let me say, security and safety of the settlers, they want to make sure that Palestinians do not live anymore around these settlements. We found out that these nitrates actually happen after midnight in order to make sure that all family members are asleep and in order to make their systematic intimidation. Sometimes it happens to arrest a child. And imagine having a child arrested after midnight. In this case, women feel themselves being under pressure psychologically and under trauma because they couldn't really protect their children. It needs to define to the member states that women who live under occupation, they suffer differently from other women who live inside Israel. Therefore, there is a need to highlight this impact, and there is a need to make recommendations that hold Israel accountable to human rights and to OHCHR, especially when it comes to women's rights.